Yeah, so I'm just gonna look a little bit at it and so that once you get to like it, make that your advanced customizability just make it a little bit more shiny and you can really make the environment yours for your customers and for community. So it's like the place for both for video, audio conferencing, and yeah, at the core of it is the customizability. So if you go in there, it's right in your room, and then from that you'll see there's a bunch of different rooms. Now the main reason for that is depending on your level of account. This is because the lowest tier or the free tier, you can't add background. So the solution in essence is to then pre-create rooms, which then you'll be like, oh, I want to be able to add my own background. Then you'll get the higher tiers. Once you're on the higher tiers, it doesn't matter. Then these presets do not matter really, except for the fact that some will have more um, circles laid out, which would be the only thing you really care about. So for example, here's 25 seats. Now, if you've got the full editor experience access, then you're just gonna kind of spot according to which one has the amount of seats pretty much that you want. So in this case, this one is for me usually the best one to go with. Got 47 seats, easier for me to delete things and to add things, and the rest of it I don't really care. If you go to the inspector, I'll try and move that here. They are this, this, this element, this element, this element, this element. Okay, I'm just gonna save that so I don't have to see those things again. So with GoBrunch very much work in progress. A lot of things that I think like I showed the rooms that you can kind of create. So a lot of it I think is because they were packaged together, as in this tier can unlock background everything, or this tier can unlock that. So it is not as modular as it might or could possibly be. And some customizability which feels like it should be available isn't yet. And I say yet because the developers in them are really active on this and it's growing and everything just gets better. So there's no point saying like, oh, it's bad, we're just not going to use it. The potential's there and things can only improve really. It's already a great platform for real-time collaboration, so just on that merit alone is a lot here that's worth having. Um, Something though that you would edit that would be a little bit seem a little bit silly that it just isn't a default or an option, customizable option. For example, yeah, in this window. So when I do upload an image, Oh, I clicked the wrong button. It's not what I wanted to do. When I do upload the background, the way backgrounds work is they're basically just images placed according to, if you know CSS, contain mode, which just means go to the width or the shortest edge. So basically fill the shortest edge and stop, proportional. So then it stops, and then you're like, oh, but my room is very long, I need more image, right? But there was no option like that. So how I think a lot of people do it maybe is they add a very long image, likely. Um, and how I would do it is because the other power of this edit is the fact of the way that it saves it. It actually saves the HTML that I put in here as is almost, and I think it very much is as is because let's do this. Let's add in. Let's just add in a heading. Hello, golf. So there's hello dorks. Let's save. And I think it should display. So as this when it comes to it suddenly it's a whole lot of power. I can do with it what I want. Now there's few features in here where you kind of want to work with what you're given versus, for example, then I just added my own code, but you actually then change the code and then constantly have to go into the HTML. Now in my case, that's not an issue. I actually prefer just going into the HTML and doing what I want to do versus relying on some drag and drop system. Because you're gonna have that issue with no code builders in general. Like you want to change things and it's just like not an option. And one of the drawbacks with this editor is it's got a heavy reliance on SVG. So for example, these seeds are SVG circles. So they're not just actually let's do it with this one. And then we'll just add a style. Yeah. Let's say width 100 pixels. We'll just use hard-coded values. And height pixels. Background. Width. I think that should work fine. Right? Okay. So they're not just using um, pixels. CSS to kind of do these things, and then you could now, for example, if these elements, if I had a bunch of them, I think I should be able to just copy paste that here. I don't know where that went now. It's below the box. Go back up. Loser. So what I could do is then wrap these with CSS and kind of use Flexbox to just grid layout and whatever, which is fine. Like I understand if you do because now you've got this power. You know, you can just drag things where you want, which works very nice with the SVG libraries that are available. So you can kind of do what you want with that, and that's why SVG really is such a good tool for these things. That does come with some drawbacks where some things are a little bit harder or counterintuitive than you might think. So in CSS, I am able to say, for instance, when I hover this, just scale it up, and it will scale up in place. Now with SVG, this isn't really all that easy. Like scaling it up changes the coordinates, because SVG is just a vector, and a vector is a coordinate plane. So that becomes tricky. But anyway, I'm playing ahead of myself, or too much nonsense information. The point is, one of the simple things that you can do to not deal with having to have multiple images for very long rooms where you have a lot of content, you have widgets around here, is by now managing and changing this background image. Now it has this href, which is a base 64 image, so the image is embedded into the page. Then it's got this class called byImage. This currently has no style value on it, so the first thing you would want to do is actually add a style value, and we'll just go and we'll edit attribute here just so we can get this started. And we'll just say style, let's say background size, well, let's just say background red. That's just to start. So we actually won't see that because there's an image attached here. And this, I'm stupid. I'm on a complete wrong element. So I'm going to delete that. That's what I want to do. I don't need the background image, because what I'm gonna do is I've already encoded this. So what you do is you want a base 64 encoder, because that's what we saw they use, and then we want the CSS background image attribute one. We want that one, and we're gonna directly on the containing SVG element actually add these styles, just because then it's like the main window. That just makes sense, you know. And then we can edit this. So let's say add attribute here, and we'll just say style equals, and we'll do again background red, just so we can get initialized. Why I want it initialized is so that I can start using the style editor, which is just a lot more convenient. And because base 64, like, this isn't short text, this is over 500 lines of text. It's literally 464 kilobytes worth of text. That's what the 64 encoding does. So now I can come in here conveniently, and I can say background image, and I'll say, well, I copied that more, so I can just go to a new line, control paste, and now it pastes this entire command for me, the CSS usage one that we pick. So it's the attribute or the property, and there we have our image. Now we can see it's very fat. So the first thing would be basically that, and if we have the element selected, we'll see the styles here, and we'll also see that the style, because I initiated it, starts getting added through the editor here. So it's just more convenient. Now we can say, because we get our autocomplete background size, and we can choose, and contain is kind of like the one that they had, except for now it's CSS, something that gets applied by default, is also a repeat property. Now for if you have seamless textures, then that becomes very valuable. So let's say background size 10%. You can see how if you had a seamless texture, you could use a very small image and it'll repeat on the X and Y axis. And because it's a small image and because of the way that CSS works and loads this data, it's only loading one image and then repeating it. So you're only loading, say, if it was a 10 kilobyte image, once. You're not loading a 10 kilobyte image 100 times. And then you can definitely have a seamless texture pattern for as long as this page or as wide as this page is. It does not matter. But we're using a sort of longer image, or at least an image where we don't care if the sides get cut off too much. So we're going to go to, and we're actually going to change this to cover. We're just going to do that thing where it cuts it off. So in CSS, everything starts top left, and it's going to move to the right. And I told it cover, so what it's doing is it's continuing as far as the longest side, and then whatever gets cropped gets cropped. Then what we can do is background position center. So we want this in the center, so it's still gonna cut it because it's trying to fold this height, which is the longest edge. And to fold the longest edge, you need to cut on the shortest edge. Because this is technically what we're doing, is changing a landscape into a portrait. So now it at least centers it, so we know that doesn't matter how big this scales, it's gonna keep going towards the middle, which is the area we care about. The next thing is we don't want it to cut off all that much, and even though, well, we don't want the image to keep scrolling, because if I actually now increase this height even more, I say 4000, then the image has to scroll with it and scale with it the whole time. So what you do is background attachment fixed, and all of a sudden it cares more about my screen height. So it doesn't really care how long this page is, it cares how long this screen is, or how high the screen is. So that we can see here, kind of, and it will stay fixed and I can scroll as far as I want. And for most part this should work in almost all cases quite well, where as you see it crops from the outside towards the middle, but the image remains in place. So those would be the basic things you do. You add a background image URL via base64. Yeah, you make it cover, i.e. pull the page, you center it, and you make it fixed. And that should keep it nice and centered, yeah. Then, and I think I'll get to that last. Doesn't seem like I can replicate this. The phone layout, because the phone layout should give me a black background, and that's built into the system where mobile kind of suffers, and I'm not sure why I can't get it even at this low. Maybe something changed, I don't know, but whatever. Ooh, maybe it's because my height just isn't right. Yeah, I just can't get phone layout, can I? This irritates the living crap out of me, that this collapses so much. It makes no sense why it would do that. But yeah. Oh, you know what? This is edit mode. I'd have to be out of edit mode. Let's see. I think I have to be out of edit mode to get phone layout. It's also pretty useless. You're in edit mode and that thing collapses. Um, but I'm sure they'll. Mm. So this is the other way. A mobile layout. So if we can so the issue with that little bit is that it might require duplication of this image, which will increase the size of the overall space or data. But since it's just the background image that you're technically duplicating, I don't think it's such a big deal, and especially you're using a single image right now versus where some of them use multiple images, so I don't think it's all that bad. I think I can just kind of do this, and then we'll find that mobile layout, and I think it's called background gray. Um, let me just start comparing SVG body content the person model called blah 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 blah. Background all class. That's the menu. Oh, I wonder where's the mobile version. Let's close here. No, I don't care. Shut up. Show me the mobile version. Show it to me or die. Thank you very much. Portrait avatar container. Really? I don't think you are the one. This one. This one. I want you fixed full screen dark gray backgrounds. Dark gray background is the thing we kinda wanna change. I don't think we can change the CSS like that, but we'll look for it now. So we'll go back to edit mode. And then we'll just look here in standard window for dark gray background. There it is. Let's see if we actually do change this and save it and whether it actually updates the value. I don't think it will because we do not have access to that style sheet. That style sheet is loaded from an external file. So as instead of have it on the page and or on the element, i.e. back in my element, with the gray, it definitely doesn't affect it. I knew that, like stupid right, whatever. Okay, but we know where the element is, and that's really all we care about. I knew where the element was, maybe. Or am I losing my mind? Guys, so quickly. You. Portrait page. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. Where's that dev now? Ah, no, that's the my name. How is it that I'm not finding this element now? Menu. It's not dark glass, is it? Why can't I see this bloody element? Oh. Really? Can I find it? Portrait. I have a lot of user data also there. Interesting. This is not so bothersome. How is it that I just don't see it? We found it like 2 seconds ago. Maybe it's one of these collect. No. No, won't be there. This is very frustrating. I don't want to save anything. Just show me that element again. What is your problem? Fixed full screen dark gray background. Fixed full screen dark gray background. But what was your problem? Why couldn't I see it just now? I wonder if it's got something to do with. Be visible, and it shouldn't be in the collapsed section either. Unless... No, it's because it's nested. Okay, that's why I couldn't see it. Yeah. Never mind. Let's get back in the game. You were nested here somewhere. There. Okay, so because we can't change the style sheet, we will edit this, and I'm just gonna add your style equals background red, and then we'll just kind of have a look, save it. Then I copied the styles from the other. Why? Maybe it's just nice. Let's go into mobile mode. I don't see a red. Did it save it? I would like it to have saved it. Hmm. Maybe I didn't save it. Maybe I didn't even target the right thing. So let's just do it manually, yeah? Because we just want to see if it works. That's all. Nothing else in particular. So just want to see. So it definitely is there. So it is that one. Probably just didn't save it. Doesn't matter. I wonder if it does actually store that data. Or does it override it? Is it one of the key pieces that gets recreated? Oh, there it is. Style background red. Oh, I wonder if I'm so important. Okay, go back here. Now we have this available. We'll paste what we took from the background earlier. So we have background image, blah blah blah. And I think something overrides it, but it doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, if you can't click on the right thing, I'm gonna lose it. I think we'll just try and add important to everything. It's what makes working with base64 very tricky. Important. I kinda wanted to add the important data. I think if you're gonna be a little asshole about this. Oh, okay. You don't like that. Interesting. The order, this should override that. Regardless. So just something to keep in mind, if it does that, it means something's overriding it. And in this case, it was this color. And I'm thinking that in my head the order is right, but I think I can still add my color. So if the image doesn't ever load, then no, it still overrides it. So it like prefers. Oh, maybe important isn't the thing. I feel like important should be the thing. And yeah, I should be able to take out important and then have both color, background color, and image available without having to state important. Although with the image I did state important because I clicked here and I pressed end to go all the way to the end. But because the data is so large, it doesn't really display everything. You see how big data is for the image. But yeah. So let's just see. I think it doesn't look like it's safely important, but let's see if this is stored. This is, I guess, optional. Like if you really do have people coming in on the mobile, then you can play with this, and that would be the place that you do it. And the method that you do it. The big thing is to kind of initialize it first with a hand coded. Let's see, it doesn't. So kinda gotta refresh. Seems like it's supposed to work, but it's not. So getting on installing. It's available. Where is the style? Oh, 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 is it true? I don't see that. Show me that again. Show me that again, please. Please show me that again. Oh, so how much of this can get changed? This is the one we want to. Dark gray PG. There it is. Background. I don't know. Let's just keep some context. So if we edit the style tag as HTML, you should be able to maintain auto completion. We'll just go with the red, yeah? Because it's easy to fix that. Save this. Does it store my style? Or does it override me? And that style is loaded after the fact. Would it go over? Doesn't care about all. So I think those get changed. So I'm not gonna waste more time on that. I might be missing something. But since the mobile version at least for most of one get edited. So the next thing is these little the seats. Now each seat has some predefined elements on it already. So it's the fold and a level of opacity, which is actually from this strange circle color, which is this. It also gets a dash on hover, and it has this stroke color there. So those are all elements that we can change in one go for the most part. Yeah, I know the SVG doesn't look so pretty. So what we're looking for here is in the SVG wrapper. We want to go down and we want to find the definitions. And here's the style attribute. So if we click on the style and edit the whole thing, edit as HTML, we'll at least get completion. So we can see full is RGB 23, 26, 27. So let's choose a fill from our page. I'll go with this bronze, and then I'm going to just get the value I want is also the RGB values. So there we go. And bring back definition, select styles, select HTML, and then we're just going to say full, not background, because this is an SVG element. So we just say full, and we can type RGB like they did, but maybe we want transparency also in one go. So I'm going to go with RGBA alpha, add in the full. Okay, just added the A afterwards, whatever. And then there's a fourth parameter, which is the transparency. So one is fully visible, like full color, flat color. And then just to remember, the full is on the element itself, so you'd have to tell it, hey, mine is more important than theirs. And then I can do that, and we can say, no, we want to see a little bit of the background, so 50% transparency. So we'll do that. I don't think background attachment effects work on this. Could be wrong, but anyway. So we also know that they have the stroke there, so we can say stroke width, and for some reason maybe we already want the stroke, so we'll just override that one. So it's stroke width 2 pixels important, and I think it has a default, like it has the default color, yeah, stroke color already, but again we're just gonna override that and we're gonna give it our coloring. So I'm just gonna find a, let's just tidy this up actually, let's multi-line it. And I'm editing it without getting autocomplete. Then let's change the color, and again for stroke color we will just use the RGB value, but we'll shift it a little. So let's go more red, so we'll go 200, so it should be quite reddish now. Okay, so now we have the stroke, and it's gonna go to their layer, and because they set the stroke color initially, the funny thing is actually that we don't have to use important, but I would say probably a good idea to use important here anyway. The hover effect also accepts that color. So you only have to set on the things that need to change when you hover something. If it's something that isn't gonna change, like for instance the stroke color isn't gonna change, so what they did here is they set the stroke width to 0 because the width is gonna change, but the stroke color is preset already, so on hover this does not change. Okay, so let's edit the style and we'll add our own hover. Let's say dot, and we can completely take that away by, for example, we can say there's a stroke, let's just take the stroke away, so we'll do that. Hover, so we'll say stroke width 0. Yeah. Oh, don't forget your important people. because we're overriding something that is set on the element itself. So now we can take the stroke away if we want it. If we want it, we could also take the fill. We can just kind of make it, keep the stroke, but we'll say make this completely translucent. We'll have that. For now we'll keep the fill as it was, and maybe we'll make it less translucent, so 0.9. And then we don't want it to be so abrupt, so we'll go in and we'll say transition full property, because that's the one we're currently animating, 1 second. So over a period of 1 second, transition this full property. Huh, that is kind of odd. Oh, it's probably, I broke it. That's all. Don't forget your semicolons. So you see how the color now transitions to that full property, not full, but actually let's just make this full opaque, more visible. So it should go solid. So over a period of 1 second it goes solid. And not just that can be transitioned, every element almost can be transitioned, the stroke also. So let's increase the stroke width on the hover, and we'll say stroke width, let's go crazy, 5 pixels, important. So it should, if I spell correctly, it should work as I intended to. Okay, so stroke width goes like that. Maybe I don't want these stupid dashes. So yeah, you can see it says stroke dash array 0. I'm assuming this has a predefined dash array also. So that's being activated on the hover. So let's just again stroke dash array. Set it back to 0 because they're actually changing this to like, let's do something silly, 5 pixels, right? They're actually setting it there, the thing. Yeah. Do I just need, do I need to say pixels or can I just say a number? Yeah, 1. Can I just say a number? Is it always pixels? No, I'm gonna do whatever I want. So that's what the dash array does, and they've got 1. And we don't want it anymore, so we need to override it. And then you can see it gets the flat thing, but it gets it immediately, but the color fades in. So with transition can be set to all. So now anything that is animatable will be animatable. So now it will grow. And this is one way that you could probably scale it. Like I said, SVG, it's a mission to have it seem like your circle is scaling up. So what you could do is stroke width, but then your stroke color can just be the same. So let's say we have that stroke, like we want it like that, but I also want it to seem like the stroke is disappearing and growing the middle. So I would need the stroke color to be the same to give me that visual effect. I just thought of that actually. So I want the stroke to turn into this color and maybe make it a little bit more fat. Okay. So by default I have that and I want it to grow. So now I want this folio, the same folio with full opacity, and it can't have stroke can also have the RGBA, the transparency, doesn't matter. So, and then we grow it. So essentially I'm scaling this up. Now I'm like, oh, but you know what? I wanted to give a little bit of feedback. There's one thing I couldn't figure out is how to do drop shadows on these yet. So that's something. But anyway, so now we have the transition. This is going to transition almost everything that we put on here. The next piece is that we want to move this element. So we can add in the best one to add in really is just to go translate. No, transform and translate in the X and Y. So first one is X, so let's say 10 pixels to the right and 10 pixels down, so kind of diagonal. Then it's going to do it slowly because we have the transition on. So it's going to scale out towards it. If we don't have the transition on, it happens immediately. Everything happens immediately. So that's where you can play with the timing on the transition. Or maybe we just wanted to move down towards the person. So we'll want 0 on the X, but we want it down, which is 10, or up, which is minus, this is something small, 5 pixels. So now it should move kind of scale upwards. So maybe that's too little to see the effect. Then what's good? So it kind of scales up, and remember we're also scaling up that border. So this whole thing is kind of doing a thingamajig. So if I take off the stroke, so if I take the stroke off, I'm just gonna comment it out there, and I'm not gonna increase the. Why did I comment it out? Well, yes, no, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to not scale the width because we want to see this thing move. So there, you see more clearly that what it's doing. So it's moving in the y-axis up. But from there you can kind of just keep tweaking things however you want them to be really, and you can even kind of have it do a bunch of translations, I guess, if you really felt like it. Dude, you're gonna irritate me right now. I think we should be able, so we made it go up, so then we'll do translate, and I think it will continue from up. So I want it to go to the right. So I want it to first go up, then I want it to go to the right, not do anything, and then I want it to go diagonally. Oh, let's let it go diagonally to the left. I said pixels on the other side, I don't say pixels here. And diagonally inwards. That might, yeah, down. So something weird like that. And then go back home. And I think 0 doesn't need any pixel, but whatever. Oh, that doesn't actually work. I saw that. I guess I need like another property in between. Something like scale. But honestly, you can really get quite fancy, and I'm not gonna bother with that. I think this works very nicely. Yeah, kind of a bummer about the background for the mobile, but it does seem like that gets overwritten. Then, oh, I don't save any of my work. Oh, I'm not in the mood. Then there's another thing. Shows me. They do this thing. They maybe want a button, right? So there's a button, and when you view it, like how a lightbox works on the website, it opens a big image. Mhm. So the issue with this is it's a nice feature when you don't want to always have the image that you add. Um, the only thing that enhances, because essentially this is a trigger or a button and content relationship that you want instead of a zoom. So what goes to be different? Since this works that for that. So the solution that they have for this, and I can't open this, is to maybe make this transparent, and I imagine they did in the code. So maybe they just add your structure style dash content image, classy image. I think this has a property. Oh, there's style anyway. Opacity, you make it semi-transparent, 0.4. 0.4. Okay, so there we have that now. Problem with opacity, and doesn't matter if you have both of them. Opacity changes the render order of elements. Kind of, it seems unpredictable. How GoBrunch works, how it's loading the font. So when I say background editor, that page is still in the back there, so that content is already there. But for some reason, that causes that to happen, that the rendering order changes. Because that web page is actually still right at the end. So it could be that those elements are now being read in a different order into the editor window. And then if you add 10 million of these buttons, there's going to be an issue because now your triggers actually swap place, i.e. the thing you wanted to trick people into clicking so they can view the other image. So if this was the image that I wanted you to see, if this was my button fix, it would have now moved below and they wouldn't have seen the right image because I actually wanted them to see this one. And vice versa. So it's a lot to keep track of. And then all of a sudden it re-renders. So it's like it's reading the order incorrectly, and I'm pretty sure there's other things that might do similar things. For example, you can't add navigation and then add an image, and we'll do this somewhere afterward. And there's no way the navigation moves to the top and going to front. It just doesn't work. Like, it's just completely broken. You have to add images first before you add any navigation, if you were intending to have the button kind of be over the image. So that's kind of an ordering issue. For example, with this is just a classic. I want to use a button and a modal. Now, the only way I found that I can reliably recreate the button situation is through having, actually let's make something that is a bloody button. An actual link, but also editing the code directly. Let's make a button. Let's make it 200 by 40 and 300. We'll just add some texture. Or DFM. Okay. File. Export. Epic. Done and done. Don't care. Save as. Don't care. Go to GoBrunch. Actually, let's just re-encode it. Because I'm gonna need that to CSS button. I hate when the bars about that. Okay, first things first. Which one do I want to add? Okay, so what I would do is add the image. This would be the image I want to use as the. I'm gonna think about this. This is the image I want to use as the button. And frankly, it could be text or whatever. So that's my button for read the manual. Then let's encode the other image. It's a big image, but I'm not too concerned. And for this one, I want just the base 64 section. I kind of want this, but with the data image. Right. So let's open a notepad. It's just gonna be easier to add this to more. You see how much text that is? That's kind of insane. I want this section, yeah. Probably easier way to do. This is just the way I'm doing it right now. Okay. And then I want all of that. Of course, what I'm gonna do now is wrap the button into something very standard, and that's a link. So the main thing that's triggering this is this UI image. The system seems to be looking for UI image, and then it grabs href. Fortunately, it's not too concerned with where this href is coming from, and I think so long as it's kind of inside, yeah, I'm not too sure about the editability of all these things, but I'm not going to be too bothered with it right now. So we want to add a tag. So add that and then a tag. And I'm not gonna. I really don't want to do it that way. Well, we're gonna do it this way. So we're gonna do a href. I'm gonna keep this empty for now. Then I'm gonna do this. Then I just want to add like a placeholder text. So I'm just gonna say p placeholder, and then I should be able to just kind of close this. So now all of a sudden it took the space of that thing, and that's what I meant with yeah, it kind of mucks the editability of things, but end of day, it's one way to do it. So now we're gonna drag. Why did it put it in a group like that? You're such a douche. You're supposed to be inside the A tag. Put that away. This HTML. Delete this. We'll go to this because this is below that, and this is the base 64 code, so it's a hassle. And the browser keeps auto completing things, but don't worry about it just yet. And we're just gonna add the closing tag here, so the browser can stop. I don't like that I did this time, but whatever. I wanted to stop auto completing things. It doesn't want to stop auto. I'm just gonna restart with that. What? Why? So upload file button image. We need to get this right. Why'd I do that? That is stupid. No one cares if changes are lost. There's nothing we do we can't redo. Image. It's inside a G. I don't want a copy of the G. I just want this section here. So what's the easiest, most browser friendly way to edit this now? I guess it is this. This is the AI first. I'll do a style. Okay. I wonder if padding works on this. Padding, then pixels. Background. Right. Let's see. So the A is now wrapped. Okay, that is nice. Okay, we just had to add the A tag to the beginning, and the browser kinda, because it's trying to be clever. That was the issue earlier. The browser is trying to be helpful, so it's auto completing things. But the beauty is it auto completed it and it wrapped it for us, which is what we want. Padding doesn't work, obviously. Only if border works. One instance, this is inside an HTML. Inside an SVG with pixels, stroke color, red. No, that's something I couldn't figure out. Well, it could be this well, it should be wrapping the contents. Anyway, this part of this that I can't add, and I'm not really sure why, but also it's not the one we care about, is it? So now we can add that base64 code that we copied earlier. We can save this document. I said save the document. No, but I'm curious. Why you not save, dude? Oh, you crashed. Well, no, actually what happened? Edit attribute enter equal base. A lot of code. IH reference as the image. Okay. Well, save. Wow. Practice makes perfect, apparently. The important bit is obviously the basic. So you could even just copy this, but the problem is at the end of this, there's extra tag that you would have to remove. Okay, this one has none of that, so it's easier to add the beginning bit up to the comma than it is to go to the end of it and remove element because it's so long. Once it's in the browser, it's kind of tricky to work with. That's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing. So again, let's do the part where it magic wraps it for us. And I'm actually gonna add the href already, I think. And it should have wrapped that inside our image. And there. So let's see if we can save now. Why does it break saving? That is very weird. But it doesn't break closing. What is your problem, bro? Seriously. This is the stupidest error ever. How does it break saving? I just don't understand this. I know it would break that, like the movement, because the link is on top of this. But saving? Makes no sense. Surely there has to be a trigger of sorts that's causing this. Huh. Let's look at this. Maybe something is up there. Age reference stroke. Blah blah blah. Hey, it's closed. Everything seems closed. So why would you refuse to save? Stick around after it's not. I'll add the extra or the A myself. I don't know why they're being so miserable about the browser adding it. I can add the extra here. Save. It's probably the browser autocomplete was doing something. That kind of needs to again. Is that actually the same? Yeah, no. That moves to a wonky spot there. But yeah, it's kind of like once you can get the pattern down, then I don't really see that as an issue all that much. And you can always just move it like in the window itself. So, so it's the image got moved. Alright, because we've got a lot of images on this page. Shut up, delete. Oh, this guy. Delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that. Don't really care about them. I think this would take a lot of fiddling But obviously GoBrunch can kind of just make it very simple. Also, okay, yeah, yeah. Right, which you need to go, and you need to do it as it's right now. Before the image, I want to add this like reference, and then after the image, I want to add the closing A. Content if this needs to be a group. I don't think it does, because A is kind of special, text content. Then we're going to add the base64 code, and then on the A, we're going to add the class view image, like that, which is the one that was on the image itself. Now, I don't care about this to watch it. So now, uh, really, did you such a dude? Oh my god, you're such a I really don't store values towards it. I'm so sorry. These are silly goose. Just edit the attribute. You just need to store it. You don't need to edit it. That's all you need to do. I thought there was just like a little warning and then goes and actually saves the error text. Seriously. Anyway, this can be streamlined, I think, but obviously this would be more of a prototype or a display for GoBrunch to be like, hey, you know what? We can add that something to replace this navigation. So this would work. Um, editability, hmm, maybe not the greatest. I don't think I can move this around anymore. Let me see though. Use resize image container, resize view. So this views, I don't know what it applies to all that stuff. So I don't want to resize the image container. But the location could be a thing. But then we'd edit this group as a whole. So essentially I should be able to say shift up. Yeah, so it's not really, and shift down, let's put it around here, I'd say. There's ways around it. And the thing is, nothing, yeah, once you kind of got it going, nothing is gonna swap around. And Z index on these circles, we just have to change. That actually gives it the opportunity to stay. Workspace on top of the level. This might be law, the ordering can't changes the ordering with other elements. We will put in circles over the buttons then. It was over the button. Okay, so that's still fine. So it's gonna call that in the end of the window maybe. That doesn't really give you that sense. What I wouldn't know whether it's fine for that. Let's try it. Find this and then maybe they have a little about me button there. And then the about me would open into a bigger portfolio page or a CV. So we want the C to be over it. Does this work for the button and everything? It would probably be an issue with the like buttons, but it's not really nice. And then the little about me code. Really, I think that's a little bit unfortunate. The mobile background isn't also saved during the fly. Um, this can be made easier by just dedicated forms. I would say the most important thing to definitely include here is definitely best modal context, and the add image is a very good feature, but given how people tend to use it with the lightbox ability, having a link and a lightbox image is something I can give it a bit more love. Then as for navigation, it's just weird. Navigation is just weird. There's no reason for it. Um, any GoBrunch URL can just get detected. If it's external URL, then use the external URL. Should the navigation have an image attached? Okay, then give it an image. So it's not really a biggie. Those two things I think would infinitely improve a lot of aspects. And then for background, standard CSS features. Do you want it fixed? Do you want it repeated? I think all of that would be nice. But fortunately, we'll maybe even see a lot of them, and the editor will definitely improve. So I'm not too concerned. This was fun to kind of play with.